welcome to the live Hive Networking and Business Learning event. We're going to start with intros. I am Sarah, and I host this meeting. It's sponsored by Scroll and Post Marketing, so if you ever need any social media management marketing, go check them out. So we'll just go around the room, introduce yourself, tell us about your business. Just about 30 seconds, 30 to 40 seconds. Don't stress, and we'll get going. Aja, do you want to start?
Sure. I'll start. My name is Aja Van Sika. I'm a master life coach over at luxcoachlifestyle.com. And I am a life coach that specializes in helping coaches. And because of the fact that they are coaches, we deal a lot with coaching, building coaching skills, as well as just working on whatever the result is that they want to obtain. Thank you for having me.
Niyani, you want to go ahead?
Yeah, sure. Hi, guys. I am Niyani. I am the owner of She's Fit Financially. I'm a financial coach, and I help women gain control of their finances. I help them make sense of their money and make sure that they're set up in a way that they are not stressed about their finances. They're able to pay off debt, and they're able to build a life that they love and ultimately can afford. So glad to be here today.
Hello, I am Mayrem Remington, and I'm the owner of mayremconsulting.com, and I work with people who are wired differently. So I help them. They're often very bright and creative, and yet they're really struggling. So like me, I was unaware of sort of having ADHD and other stuff and really struggled, even though I had a couple master's degrees. And so I ended up creating through sensory processing and sensory integration type stuff and executive function and visual stuff, like ways to help really functional, effective ways to help kids and families and adults create a life they love living, and they're able to do what they love and have connections.
Sure. Hi, I'm Brianne Smith, and I'm actually just revamping my whole business. So the tentative name right now is Lighthouse Marketing Services, and it's geared specifically towards light workers, healers, and coaches. So it's shining a spotlight on the people who make a positive difference in the world. And I do marketing, design, publishing, and small business development.
You've all met her, Niyani Armstrong. She's a certified financial coach and CEO of She's Fit Financially, a company dedicated to empowering and educating individuals about personal finances. Niyani has been through her own financial journey, starting with paying off $71,000 in just 2 years on one salary. Seeing the lifelong impact that getting her finances together would have, she decided she had to go and show others exactly how to experience the same financial freedom. Niyani is an expert in negotiating, reducing expenses, increasing income, and gaining confidence around money. She loves empowering, that's a hard word for me, and encouraging her clients to optimize her finances without having to give up things they love. She has saved her clients tens of thousands of dollars by creating a customized financial plan that is aligned with their personal goals. And I have her here today because I do believe that your personal finances impact your business finances. So I do believe it's a great place to start and even maybe get a good reminder about, because as we venture into business, those credit cards can get tempting and maybe you might need them, maybe not. We're going to learn from her today. So Niyani, you have the stage.
Alrighty, well, I'm so glad to be here. Feel free to unmute yourselves. This can be an interactive thing. The more we interact with each other, the more I think we can learn. So feel free to unmute yourselves at any point if you have any questions or if you want to add anything in. So I am Niyani, and I'm a financial coach, and I help women, like I said, really get a grasp of what their money is doing, right? So I work with clients who make $50,000 a year, and I work with clients who make $200,000 a year. It really is not how much money you make, it's how much money you get to keep at the end of the day, right? So my job is to make sure that you guys are having the right financial literacy in order to make the best decisions with your money, the best empowered decisions, okay? So financial literacy is something that obviously we never learned in school. Unfortunately, right? I know now they're trying to bring it into schools. I think in Georgia, we have somebody from Georgia here, right? Is that right? Yeah. Okay. Awesome. I think they're going to start implementing like some financial literacy classes now, but it's something that typically we don't learn. And so I just, like Sarah was saying, I found myself in $71,000 worth of debt very early into my marriage. And it was cars and it was pots and pans that were $2,000 that we got suckered into financing. And we went to this presentation. They're like, oh, and this pan can do this. And we were like, oh, yeah, sure. Like, yeah, let's get that. And so before we knew it, we were literally $71,000 in debt. And I got pregnant when we got married. And shortly after, we were like, okay, what are we going to do? Like, we lived in a nice apartment, and it was a house, but it wasn't ours, and it wasn't in the nicest neighborhood. So we wanted to provide like a great place to be able to raise a family. And so we started looking for houses, and we're like, first of all, we can't afford a mortgage because all of our minimum payments all of our paycheck is being eaten up by our minimum payments, right? And second of all, we're not going to get approved because we have so much debt. So I just got tired of living paycheck to paycheck. My husband made a pretty good salary at that point. And still we were living paycheck to paycheck, literally counting down the days till we were going to get paid again. And so I knew that that was no way to live. But at the same time, I thought it was just me living that way. Like, I thought that it was an issue with me, not that it was like a worldwide issue. And I now know that 87% of Americans live paycheck to paycheck. 87% of us would be completely lost if we didn't get paid, right? If we missed just one paycheck. And that's scary. It's scary to live that way. And I was so tired of living that way. I've been working since I'm 14 years old. I didn't work for the first few years of marriage because I was having babies, but I was working for almost 10 years before I got married, and I had nothing to show for it. So we got tired of living that way, and we sat down and we tallied up. Well, I say my husband he was like, yeah, babe, you do what you gotta do. So I sat down and I tallied up all my debt, and I was so overwhelmed because, first of all, $71,000, like, where in the world is this money gonna come from? Second of all, what in the world am I doing with this money? Like, what am I doing? And so I stayed up late. I had a 4-month-old at the time. I would stay up late every single night after putting her to bed, researching online how to get out of debt, how to make more money, you name it. I researched it. But what I found was what was online was very generic. There was nothing that was specific to my situation that said, oh, okay, your husband makes this amount, your rent is this amount, you should be paying this amount. Like, it was just very generic. And that's what the advice online is. It's generic advice. Similar to the advice that you would find if you're trying to lose weight, right? Oh, you want to lose belly fat? Just sit-ups. But what about, it's just very generic advice that you'll find out there. It's nothing that's tailored specifically to your situation. So all that to say, it took me a long time to create a plan for us that worked, because there were so many different variables that it was hard to find something that actually worked for our family. And so through all that research and through all that digging, I found a love for personal finance. And I realized that it wasn't just me that was having these issues, and that literally more than 75% of the United States was having the same issues that I was. And at that point, I knew how to get out of debt, and I knew that there was so much more to living than living paycheck to paycheck, right? You guys have probably heard, you're not born to just pay bills and die. I firmly believe that. We are not made to just pay bills and die. We want to live, we want to experience life, and we want to be ultimately present where we are in our life right now, right? We don't want to be worried about, how am I going to pay my credit cards? And we want to be able to be present. And so I said, you know what? I'm going to start financial coaching. I didn't even know it was a thing, but I wound up getting certified and finding all these amazing clients and changing their lives just by providing the financial literacy that was tailored to them. So I don't provide, like a generic plan. Like, we go through my clients' actual numbers and we make a plan that feels good for them and that doesn't feel restricted, and that they're going to feel empowered by the decisions that they're making. Okay, so I wanted to share with you guys a little bit today. I don't know where you guys are on your financial journeys, if you're just starting out, or if you're far past this, but I wanted to talk to those of you who are maybe just starting out with your finances, and I wanted to tell you, give you a little bit of a blueprint so that you can walk away feeling motivated after this to try to get a little bit of a better handle. So if there is anyone here who's starting from scratch, I want you to know that the way that you're living with your finances right now is not the way that it has to be forever. Even if you have money in the bank, right? And maybe you have savings, but you keep dipping into it, right? And then you get frustrated with yourself. The way you're living now, it doesn't have to be that way. You can feel empowered by your money, and you can feel confident with your money. So I'm going to walk you through the steps on how to start your debt-free journey. Okay, so the first thing I want you guys to do when you're starting your debt-free journey is face the facts, right? It's the hardest part, but it's the best part, because we have to know where you're starting, right? So the first thing you want to do is you want to look up your debt, see what you have right now. A good way to do that is either Credit Karma. They have, they'll show you all of your debt, or creditreport.com. You can print out unlimited free credit reports from now until further notice. Usually before COVID, it was like every 3 months you could get a new report, but now they'll let you do it at any time. So you can go to creditreport.com. They'll show you any outstanding balances and accounts. Okay, so make sure that you get a handle on what's actually happening with your situation. Okay, and then that'll be a great starting point so that we know where to go from there, and we can devise a plan to tackle that debt. Okay, the next step, and this is really important, I don't want anybody to overlook this step, is figuring out your why. Okay, now having a debt-free journey is not easy. Okay, it's not easy because I was a 22-year-old with a $71,000 mound of debt in front of me. I'm not going to sit here and tell you that it was an easy journey. It wasn't. But I had my why, right? And my why was that I wanted to be financially stable. My why was that I wanted to provide a better life. And I didn't have a bad life, but an even better life than I did, right? An even better financial situation that I did. And now my why has shifted. As you go along your journey, it'll become more developed and more tailored to where you are in your life. But just making sure that you notice that why is crucial, because when I always liken it to, and it's so funny because fitness and financial wellness go hand in hand, very much. And so I always say, like, if you're trying to lose weight, which I am, I just had a baby 4 months ago. So if you're trying to get that pre-baby body back, right? You post a picture of like a supermodel on your fridge so that before you open that fridge, you're like, no, right? Or whatever it is that you want to look like. And so I always liken it to that, because that's the same thing with the why, right? We want to have our why in the forefront of our minds, because when it gets tough, all you have to do is remember your why, right? So that's the second thing that you want to do, is make sure that you have a why that makes sense to you, and a why that's really, really something that is driving you to make these changes. Okay? So you're going to tally up your debt, you're going to figure out your why, and then the last thing I'm going to leave with you guys today is that you want to pick a debt repayment method. Okay, so there are so many different ways, and again, now this is a little bit of generic advice because it's not a one shoe fits all. However, I'll tell you what I use, and I'll tell you what I recommend for my clients. So the first debt repayment method that you can choose from is called the debt snowball method. Okay, that was coined by Dave Ramsey. I don't know if anybody knows Dave Ramsey. If you've ever heard of him, he's a financial guru. He has a one-size-fits-all approach. And he says that the snowball method means that you're going to list all your debts and then pay your minimum payments on all of your debts except for your smallest one. Your smallest debt, you're going to pay all the money that you possibly can to that smallest debt until it's gone, and then you're going to go to the next smallest debt, right? Pay minimum debts on everything else except for that second smallest debt until that's gone, and then rinse and repeat. Okay, so that personally, that's the method that I used. I like it because it works with it helps you to feel like you're making so much progress, right? Because if you see that one of your debts is gone, you're like, oh yes, momentum, like I got this, I can go to the next one, right? Even if the first debt is $200, that's one credit card that you never have to pay again, right? That's one account that you never have to look at again. So I like that method for people who need that motivation, who need that to visually see things disappearing. I like that. Another method is called the debt avalanche method, and this one was coined by Susie Orman, another great financial guru. She says that you should attack your debt with the highest interest rate. Okay, so this may save more money in the long run. However, if your debt with the largest interest rate is a $20,000 debt, it might seem like you're paying debt forever, right? So like, because how long would it take you to pay a $20,000 debt? 2 years maybe, right? Depending on how aggressively you're going at it. And so, but some people like to know that they're saving as much money as possible, so they start with the higher interest debt. I recommend that for people who have a high cash flow, who have the money to knock out debts quickly. That's what I would recommend the avalanche method for. And then there's two more. The next one is the emotional baggage. Okay, so this one sounds a little funny, but it's a debt that you hate paying, right? So it could be student loans, right? Is there something in your life that you just wish you never had to look at again? Above all of your other debts, right? Is there something that just irks you every single time you have to make a payment? Right, I have a client right now, she has an $800 car payment and it drives her nuts. So we're working on getting that out of the way because it literally keeps her up at night knowing that $800 is being put to that, right? So that's another way to categorize if you want to use that method. And then the last one is to pay your highest amount, so your highest monthly amount. So if you have minimum payments of $25, $25, $25, and then you have a minimum payment of $360, the last one is to attack that $360, whatever that would be, so that you could get that back into your regular pay. Okay, so I hope that makes sense. Does anybody have any questions?
I don't have a question, but this is really good information. It's really good. I appreciate this so much.
I'm so glad.
It's coming for me right on time because next year I'm planning to move to Florida, and I want to live as if I'm on vacation. So right now I'm getting like my funds to be able to do that. So yes.
Absolutely. That's great. I'm so glad. Thank you for sharing.
And then it seems like that after you pay off a credit card, because you were saying if there was one for 200, then you never have that again, that you're not then using your credit cards.
Right. Right. So I should have said, and I usually say this when I meet with my one-on-one clients, because they come to me distressed and so upset that they're in debt. And I say, well, the first thing I want you to do is I want you to vow to yourself that you're never going to go into debt again. Right? So that's the first step, is saying, okay, I'm tired of where I am. I'm fed up with where I am. I'm not going to do this again. Okay. And the way that and it's not just saying, okay, I'm not going to do it again. You set yourself up for success. And this is what I do with my clients, is that I help them make what's called an emergency fund. Okay. And an emergency fund is dependent on how much you should have in it, is dependent on if your job is consistent, if you have if there's like no chance of you being laid off, then maybe you should put like 3 months worth. But if you have kind of like a job where you're not really sure, then you want to save a little bit more than that, just in case, God forbid, you get laid off, you would have a nice cushion, right? To be able to get yourself back on your feet until you get another job. So we work on creating that emergency fund. We work on freeing up money in your current financial situation to fund that emergency fund, right? Because people come to me and they're like, how am I supposed to get $5,000 to just put in the bank? We work on that. We find, we negotiate bills and we make sure that there are no leaks in your personal spending, because a lot of times I find that clients are paying so much more than they have to for just regular maintenance things like car insurance and cable and cell phones and Wi-Fi. And we knock all those things down, and the money that we get from that, along with other things, are what we use to fund that emergency fund. So back to the original statement that we're not going to use a credit card again, we have confidence that we're not going to use a credit card again because we have that money in savings that for an emergency, right? So so we don't want to rely on credit cards unless we absolutely have to, or unless you're going to use it responsibly, where you, like me, I get paid every month to use my credit card. I get paid like $200 a month just by putting every single transaction through my credit card and paying it obviously right off. Right? So if you use them responsibly, I'm not against credit. I know certain financial people are like, no credit cards whatsoever. I'm not against credit cards. I just want to make sure that we're creating a system that you're going to pay it off right on time, and that you're not overwhelming yourself with the inability to pay it. Okay. Okay. Any other questions? I don't want to give you guys too much homework because I know it's overwhelming. I get it. I know. So I could talk about this for hours. I do talk about it for hours.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I heard this week, do not dig your well when you're thirsty. And what you're saying, having that savings it reminds me of that quote I heard this week, because you want to have that cushion for when you need it. So
yeah, beforehand, exactly. And you know what? You sleep better at night that way too, knowing that, like, you, God forbid something happened. I'll share something with you guys on a personal note. I'm very open with my finances. I know that money is a taboo topic, right? And I really want to change that, because the more we talk about it, the more money we'll have, right? The more we educate people, the more money we get to keep. So last 2 weeks ago, my husband got paid, and he works for the city. I live in New York, and he's a teacher. And he wound up getting, there was a mix up with the whole city. They wound up withholding his check for like the entire city of New York. All the teachers got paid like nothing last week, 2 weeks ago, right? So he got paid $54. That was his paycheck. That was literally his paycheck. Okay, thousands of dollars he was not paid. Now, you know what I did? Oh well. Right? And it's not because I'm rolling in it. I'm not. Right? I'm not. I'm not there yet. But we're set up so that, God forbid that happens. Oh well. Did it suck? Yeah, it's annoying. Right? But that's all it was. It was annoying. It didn't set us back on our financial progress. Right? And that's where I want everyone who I come in contact to be with, because taking control of your personal finances literally changes your life, right? Our health and our finances are the most important things, because without either, we can't survive, right? So that's my goal, is to be able to equip you with the tools and the strategies that you need in order to make sure that you're comfortable and that you're living a life stress-free, away from your money. Okay. Well, thank you for having me. That was fun.
that was awesome. Thank you so much for speaking today. Did anybody have any questions or comments? We can go around the table.
I thought it was really helpful and a lot of good information. And I loved how you talked about first around the debts and what you could do around that, and then about what you had to look at and different ways to sort of have that cushion. And then I'm also thinking that if you are planning on buying something, like you need a TV or refrigerator or something, because I know I do have a car now, and it's like, okay, I am going to make payments. I make more than the payments, but it's also Like if I couldn't, then they would just take the car back, and that's not going to happen. And it's still nice knowing that, so it was very, very informative. Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you.
I would add to that is even like you're talking about knowing your why, and even within that, the scope of knowing your why, really understanding that you're like creating a whole new identity when you are creating this new lifestyle for yourself of no debt or paying down your debt. Like you have to look at what exactly it is that the mindset piece of it is, like where you're at in that, and decide, like literally decide every day, be uncomfortable in not having that thing that you want, so that you can actually create the life that you actually really do want. That instant gratification, that thing that we got going on these days, that microwave society, and just really creating a new identity for yourself. And so when you get to that goal, it's even better, because not only have you reached the goal, but you're a whole new person. Like this, the whole person that you get to be in creating in that goal is, like, to me, just amazing. So I just wanted to add that.
Love that. Yes, I love that so much. It's so true. The instant gratification. I mean, I always tell my clients, you can have all the things. You really can. You can have it all, just not all at the same time. Right? That's as simple as it is. We make goals for things and we crush those goals and we get them. And that, like you're saying, like once you hit those goals, it's that much more precious because you worked for it and because you waited for it and because it's yours, and you don't have that fear of somebody coming to take it away, right? It's yours, right? This is the first time in my life that I paid cash for my couches, right? Before this, I didn't own couches. They were financed. So that it is a big change, but it feels so good at the same time. It's incredible.
I am actually teaching my son this whole concept of instant gratification. He's 13, and we need you. How about that? We just need you. This whole the money thing, the $5 or whatever will burn a hole in his pocket, and he has to spend it. He has to spend it, and so we're learning that I'd rather just pass him off to you because I'm tired now. I'm wore out.
I hear you. I know. Well, sometimes I homeschool, and I sometimes
So do I.
Oh, nice.
Well, no, that's not true. We're virtual learning
okay.
because of COVID. So let me not lie and put myself in the.
That's okay. They're home. They're doing school at home. So yeah, no, I mean, sometimes they just learn better from other people, right? That's just the nature of it.
Exactly. I think so.
I've heard some people say with kids, they make 3 different jars for them. And I've got a little boy, he's not there yet, but whatever money they get, they put some in savings, some in giving, and then some in spending. So
that's exactly right.
That.
We do that.
That's really good. I like that.
Yeah, I have a whole thing on kids' finances as well, because I teach that as well, and it's a little bit different to teach the kids because it's just different. But that is one of the activities that I do with them, is that we do a giving jar, a saving jar, and a spending jar, right? We want to save, I mean, depending on the age, the different percentages. Like my daughter knows, like we go to church, and I say, well, if you have $10, how much are you going to give to God? And she says $1, right? 10%. So she's 5. And so it's important to start them young, because again, this is not something that they're going to learn in school, right? And we want to set them up for success, right? So the way I coach my clients, and if you do any study on personal finance, people, I sometimes even hesitate to even say this because people feel like it's like too good to be true kind of thing. There is literally no reason for anybody not to become a millionaire. And I don't say that lightly, okay? It's just you need to have the systems in place and the strategy, and you don't have to have a lot of money. If you can sacrifice $250 a month and put it into the right account, you will be a millionaire by the time you retire. Hands down, foolproof system, right? So that's what I want for my kids. That's what is going to happen for them. right? And so that's why it's just so important, because the earlier you start with your money, the better, the more money you'll get. So yeah, he's at a great age to start him.
Yeah. Yes, he
The
is.
other thing from my working with kids and families is that there are like family chores, again, being part of a family. It's really important that they start helping out, around, 5 and away, but they can, because they like helping when they're younger. It's like, hey, they want to help, and keep
They
encouraging
don't
that.
want to help at 13, but they're forced to help at 13. They don't want to, but they do.
But
Yes.
part of it is when I talk with kids and parents, it's like, do you like eating off of clean plates? And guess what they tell me? Yes. Do you like sleeping in a clean bed? Yes. Do you like having clean clothes to wear? Do you like having food to eat? And they'll all tell me yes. And it's like, does it just happen? How does that happen? And then it's our attitude about it. Again, so this goes back to, because it's like, how do we make doing dishes or working together fun? Instead, because this is where adults will too. Like, who wants to clean the bathroom? Oh, I don't want to. Oh, we've got to go do chores. Oh, we've got to. It's like, wait a minute, let's turn on the tunes. Let's, have some fun doing it and talk and stuff. And then it's like, wow, look at this. High five. We got it done. We're ready. And then that's where at times, if kids want something else, so again, they want to save for something, it's like, oh, here's some things you can do to earn some more money towards that. So at times it's, again, there's that give and take. Here's how much we get, but we all get, a certain amount of money, because even though I love my job, I want to get paid for it. It's like, I wouldn't just do it for free. So there's all of these different components that also go into, like, how do we make this something that works, that again, we have fun, we can, live a little bit differently, and it's like we're on vacation, because here's how we're willing to do it. So then we're all discussing the choices that we're making and what we want and what we're willing to give or do to get them.
Very true. Very good.
Thanks.
Thank you all for contributing your thoughts. And for Niyani, thank you for speaking so much. I really, really appreciate it.